Hey everyone, welcome to New Slang. I'm your host, music journalist Thomas Mooney, and this is episode 106, where I am joined by singer-songwriter Garrett T. Caps. I caught up with the San Antonio, Texas native this past Sunday. Caps is one of my favorite songwriters out there right now because you're really never totally sure what you're going to get next from him. He's going to zig when you think he's about to zag. At times, it's this expansive cinematic adventure. It's space country. It's cosmic, but not in that Joshua Tree desert swept kind of way. More so like in a krautrock meets post-rock kind of interstellar kind. Sometimes it's dive bar Caps. It's raw and nimble, piss and vinegar. It's garage rock and punk in a sense. He's very spry. And then sometimes it's more of this honky-tonk grittiness. It's Lone Star beer all night and low ceilings, chain smoking and cowboy hats. Then there's the Tex-Mex torchbearer Caps, where he's embracing those South Texas roots. And then of course there's those moments where he blends them all. But the reason I even bring up these distinctions is because he releases enough music that he can go into these directions for a record or two without sounding lost or unsure. We talk about those distinctions and influences and interests throughout this conversation, meeting and playing with guys like Texas legend Augie Meyers, diving into San Antonio music history, and growing up with fellow songwriter John Bauman, and plenty of other stuff. I think y'all really enjoy this one. If this is your first time listening to New Slang, I strongly suggest hitting that subscribe link. If you just did, I'm giving you a virtual high five right now. New Slang is over on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, and basically any and everywhere you listen to podcasts. Go check out the New Slang merch store, grab a koozie, some stickers, buttons, and magnets. Any bit helps. I'll throw a link into the show notes. And if you're into playlists, go check out Tom Mooney's Cup of Coffee and the Neon Eon playlists over on Spotify. The Neon Eon is for all your nostalgic 90s country needs, which there's going to be more Neon Eon related stuff coming your way pretty soon. And then Tom Mooney's Cup of Coffee is a regularly updated mix of new Americana and country music. It's also a really great hint at who I have coming up on the podcast. So, yeah, go follow those. All right, that's enough for the intro. Here is Garrett T. Caps. Start off with just, you released All Right, All Night last year, and it's part of this trilogy. Can you expand on what the trilogy record is? Like this space country, NASA country, what the broader storyline is?
Well, the In the Shadows Again album, I guess I didn't know it was a trilogy when we made it. And then when I was working on All Right All Night and decided to weave in synths and stuff, I figured it would make it really ridiculous to say that it was part of a trilogy. So now there's a trilogy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's what you've done with these new records, or with the last two, is there is those synths. So there is this very very post-rocky kind of atmospheric cinematic feel. It's a very, very spacey. And you even had the backing band NASA Country as the moniker. How did you drift into going in that direction?
I guess in 2016, 2017, I was kind of getting more into krautrock, like Noi and Can or whatever. And it's kind of more transcendental psychedelic rock. And also just still writing songs and stuff. But I really wanted to make my first professional quote unquote album, but I was also starting to collaborate with some local people in town that my friend Justin, who does only modular synth stuff. He's technically a sound artist. Torin, who's just a far out guitarist. So I basically put together a band for the In the Shadows album that was just weirdo musicians from in town. And that's kind of what that album is. We really didn't know what we were doing on that album whatsoever compared to these days, I guess. But I think it was just like really enjoying kind of psychedelic music I got really into krautrock, just like the 2-chord, fast-paced type of music that can just go on forever.
Right.
And then that's like where like Here Right Now kind of comes from that mold.
Yeah.
But just kind of collaborating with these local artists that feel the same way and are open to like experimental music and just stuff like that.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, we made that album, and I have other lineups, and I'm kind of all over the place personally because I like to try and go out and play as many shows as possible. So I have several different backing bands, but I would say that the NASA Country Band, those are like my really good friends, and so it's cool to play with them.
Yeah.
But we haven't, like, we played Pickathon last year. We went to Europe last year, but like, NASA Country hasn't like been my only band, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I know like you do have like all these, like it's almost like there's 3 or 4, 5 Garrett T Caps making records and playing shows and stuff because like, you know, like, yeah, like the NASA Country thing, that is very, very spacey. Like, I don't know if a lot of people are familiar with Can in general, but like those songs, like you said, like they kind of do go on forever. Like a lot of those records are like 4 tracks long and like 18-minute songs and 10-minute songs.
Yeah, totally.
And I you can see that being the case with your music, as you could see a lot of those songs having a version where they're 10 minutes long, and you've kind of like honed that into being more of the, I guess, finding that middle ground between the honky-tonk 3-minute song and then that being like the epic kind of just endless cycle of a song.
Yeah, I don't know. I just write the songs the way I write my songs. You can probably hear my influences in there. Like for the core of the song, like I'm a big Robert L. Keane fan, or, you know, Tom Petty. But I don't know. I guess like the NASA Country thing is funny to me. Like in San Antonio, we don't have like a thriving music scene per se. So it's just kind of like all the creative scenes work together in a lot of ways, or like you get to know the people in the arts scene or the restaurant scene. And that's kind of like, or like free jazz artists or whatever. And, I think what's funny about like the NASA Country product is it's essentially just a product of knowing people in the San Antonio creative community and just kind of coming together. But looking back at it now, especially seeing like what we're working on at this very moment and what we did last year, like touring Spain and stuff like that, it's cool that like something that was just for fun in town kind of came together and we've gone further places than just San Antonio with it.
Yeah. A couple of questions on that. One, is it super receptive over in Europe simply because of, you know, the more the krautrock kind of thing? It feels like that over there, they're, I don't know, a little bit more informed about that kind of music than maybe here.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what I was thinking of when I was talking about the In the Shadows, or how that kind of like transpired. There's someone outside of my room right now making noise. Basically, like, there was an interesting span of events that happened, but something that did happen was there's this website called altcountry.nl, based out of, I think it's Groningen in the Netherlands. And it's this guy named John and a few other people. And they asked me to mail my CDs to them because they like love CDs over there still. And I like paid the $20 to ship my CDs to the Netherlands. And they like gave me like a 5-star review on their website. And all of a sudden I had like a festival offer to play this festival Take Root in 2018. It was headlined by Kurt Vile and Father John Misty and like Sarah Shook and the Disarmers. I think American Aquarium played it as well. It was just like a really solid festival. And that hooked me up with a booking agency over there. And that was like the first tour, like 4 months after that review went up on that website. But they kind of like, I've had this interesting or just like fondness for their passion for this kind of stuff since then. Just noticing like how many of my favorite artists have found success over there for many years, and just seeing like how they kind of found out about In the Shadows again organically, and they like saw it as a new step for country music, which is what I was trying to do, but like no one around here has really told me that other than like people I know, I guess.
Yeah.
But the Dutch people like saw it for what I felt it was. And yeah, they like the weird shit. They like weird country. And everything else.
Yeah.
But they have good taste, I guess.
Yeah, well,
or like really really interesting taste.
What I liked about it a whole lot was the post-rocky aspects of it. The just like kind of like you felt really small listening to the sonic qualities of the songs, but then like a lot of the storytelling, they feel like they are like these just classic kind of prototype honky-tonk songs, and just like where that blend came from. It to me, that's what really drew me in was that. And then like just there's some of the things that you sing about that I'm not sure if a lot of people have talked about, but like you do tap into a lot of I guess themes about like theology and like questioning of life after death and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I guess when I started writing songs, however long ago, like the things I still write about haven't changed. Like I don't really do that many story songs. It's usually about dying or trying to feel positive or about things. I don't know, but yeah, I don't usually like write story songs or make up characters or something like that. So there's only like a few different directions you can go if, in my mind, if you don't do that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like to me, like that song Lately, that is just like one of my favorite songs of like the last couple of years, because like it does feel like really like that, like Sunday Sun, A Beauty in the Horizon, like all of those feel like sun coming up, like you've spent the entire night by yourself and like you've just, I don't know, tapped into something strange in the universe. You get what I'm saying? Like that's what.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, thanks,
like,
man.
Like
that's
those.
What I would hope people could take away from it. So that is awesome.
Well, like specifically like the song Lately, I guess like where did that come from? Where was like the initial root of that song from?
I think it definitely rooted from like a previous relationship and just being unhappy in it, and also starting from there and just see where the song goes, I guess, which usually ends up talking about larger philosophies or whatnot.
Yeah. Well, you talk about like I'm paraphrasing here on the line, but like, I wish that time would loosen up instead of just taken away. That right there, like that was probably like my favorite line of last year. Just like that
Right on.
concept of time passing and like how, I don't even know if this is like your intentions, but like I was thinking about how, I don't know if you were trying to tap into talking about how like time is kind of like a man-made object or like a thing, not an object necessarily, but like it's man-made in a lot of ways, and how we like count everything by time. Like that's how we are able to like structure our lives, but then like how that can just get in the way of living.
Yeah, totally. I mean, time, I was just talking about that a few days ago, like not related to the song, but yeah, time's weird, especially in the Corona times.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you could put it in that category. I think that's what I meant by that line. Like, something within the world of, within the thought process of like, oh, that was just a few days ago, but it felt a long time ago, or can't believe that was a month ago. It feels like a year ago. Like, it's just like a really, time has a strange effect on your memory.
Yeah. And also like just, I used to do this a whole lot, but I still do it every once in a while. I get a whole lot of anxiety about time, and like, am I where I'm supposed to be at this point? You know what I mean? Because it feels like sometimes I guess the way you envision life, you're like a lot further ahead than maybe you are. And I used to get like really strung up about like that kind of stuff when I was in school, because it felt like I was never going at the pace that I wanted to. And I don't know, like it feels like all the time stuff. I find it's probably more about me than anything else, is like how I always relate things to time, and how like time is just like, it feels like you can't wrangle time at all. And what do you do about that?
Yeah, totally. Or like, yeah, it's hard to like, for me to revel in the moment sometimes. I've been trying harder to do that. But because all of a sudden, like, you'll have like a really great time, or you'll have wonderful memories of something. But like when it was happening, like, you might not realize it, you know?
Yeah. Like and this is something just because I have to do this to try and stay organized, is I almost always am making lists. And like that may be like a list of stuff I need to do this week, list of stuff I need to do today. And it feels like that's where so much more time gets put into, is trying to like schedule time out versus like enjoying the moment, like you say. And that's very, very difficult, I think, for most people to do, is like how do you just like, I don't know, like let all the tension out of your body and out of your mind and just like enjoy what's happening during that moment versus like trying to capture it for later.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of the big, that's what everyone struggles with in one way or another, I would say.
Yeah. And of course it doesn't help that we have iPhones that can capture everything. Like that's maybe the one place that I don't, try and capture stuff for later, is that shows. Like I'm never like the person trying to like Snapchat the entire show or like trying to make videos, because I'm also like, who actually watches those videos later on?
Yeah.
I don't think anyone really does. I don't know. One of the things I wanted to go back to though is you were talking about San Antonio. Obviously, you grew up in San Antonio. You still live there. You're part of the art community, all that kind of stuff. And you were mentioning the art community. I think we always think of like San Antonio being this big city, and it is big and it's growing and all that stuff. But when it comes to the art scene and all that part, does it still feel like a small town, if you will?
Absolutely. Yeah. I probably say that every day. I mean, yeah, it feels like a small town, and it's felt that way for a long time. you know, especially like in the alternative music world. You know, it's just kind of like everyone's kind of, when I started playing solo, I definitely found like a comfort here because it was so laid back. The scene wasn't too competitive. When I was first starting out, I lived in Austin and I didn't really have very much luck. I mean, I had some friends up there, but I couldn't really find my way in the scene up there. But down here, you could do whatever you want and make friends, and no one really cared. And I mean, you set your own standards, but you can have a good time no matter what.
Yeah, I do wonder
if you want to get out of town, then you can, but you don't have to. It's laid back down here.
Yeah, I wonder if since it is so close to Austin, that makes it where it is a little bit more laid back, because our entire lives we're told Austin, live music capital of the world, all that kind of stuff. So you get the sense that, hey, I need to move to Austin to become, I don't know, my full potential. I mean, it's
been that way for so long. Like I'm pretty fascinated with San Antonio's music history, like of all genres, but like I've always really been interested in like venues and what bands have played here. And I mean, not only do we have like a really strong cultural history with like conjunto and norteño music, but I mean, obviously we're people still call us, it's pretty much an outdated term, the heavy metal capital. I don't know if you've heard that.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I remember reading in the Austin Chronicle, they called 2 years ago, they called San Antonio the heavy metal capital. I'm like, y'all are so out of the loop, you know? Like, we were the heavy metal capital in like 1988 or something.
Yeah.
But I don't know, we used to like be an epicenter for country music, especially back, I guess, in like the 50s and 60s. And I think that Austin's Cosmic Cowboy, Armadillo World Headquarters culture kind of started overshadowing that.
Right.
But I mean, it took over country music in a lot of ways. So what could you expect? It's right up the road.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think like this is going to sound like I'm talking like shit on Austin. I do like going to Austin. I love the scene there. I love like going and visiting, all that kind of stuff. But so much of our ideas of different towns is who can come up with like a great slogan. You know what I mean? Like there's like if like the live capital music, that kind of thing, or you know, keep Austin weird, stuff like that. Like it's part of the lexicon all of a sudden. And you know, like not to say like you're underwhelmed by when you get there or something, but sometimes it can be a letdown. I know, like here in Lubbock, I guess like we've kind of built up the lore of Lubbock, and then some people get here and they're like, oh, it's not nearly as cool as I expected it. And so like, I don't know, like it's this weird thing that sometimes like the bumper sticker or the slogan can like really make it seem way cooler than it is, or worse sometimes. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know anyone that's moving to Austin anymore, but I also don't really know like young 20-somethings or like rich tech people. So
yeah, well, no one from Texas is. That's probably the key, the caveat.
I mean, I think you graduate from college at UTSA or in San Antonio or something like Austin still has its allure, but it's so like impossible to live a normal life there, it seems, and not in a good way.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned, you know, like and I've seen you do this lately on Facebook, is you've been really diving into the San Antonio history, asking people like, hey, anyone been to this show, you know, or like who was at this venue, that kind of stuff. What's been like the most interesting kind of San Antonio historical facts have you run across by just asking people about San Antonio music history?
I mean, I think that like kind of we're kind of talking about this, but moving back to like kind of this San Antonio big city scenario, but like part of what I like to kind of call the San Antonio thing in a lot of ways is like no one's like waving a flag down here, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like kind of with branding and all that stuff, like you're talking about with Austin or whatever. Like a lot of amazing stuff has happened here, but everyone just tells their friends or whatever, and yay, you know, just like that was awesome. No one's like trying to like capitalize off of it or, you know, but a lot of cool music stuff's happened here. There's like, let's see. There is a little bar called Casbeers down here that was on Blanco Road. And it was kind of like an offshoot of like the Kerrville folk scene. And growing up here, like, and as I got more into songwriting and Texas songwriting and stuff like that, I didn't really know where like San Antonio stood, like in the songwriter scene, because it's hard to like, you never really hear about it.
Mm-hmm.
But there was this place called Casbeers that it was a restaurant and like a small hole in the wall, and they just had like the owners were named Steve and Barbara, and they were open I think since like the 80s, and that was like where all the songwriters went. Like I'm trying to pull up a list right now, but I mean they loved Doug Stamm, like Doug and Augie hung out there.
Yeah.
They'd have rock shows and stuff, but they'd have like, I'm trying to pull up a list. Like Billy Joe Shaver has played there, or you might need to edit this. I'm looking at my Facebook post right now. Peter Case or whoever. None of this stuff is like that amazing to someone that might not live here. The fact that there's just this songwriter venue in San Antonio that was just like a small hole in the wall restaurant.
Yeah.
But to me, it's really cool because it like sheds light on this culture that was there, that only the people that knew about it. Like no one was really like, it wasn't famous.
Yeah.
But the people that do know about this stuff here care about it. And, there was a cafe called the Leon Springs Cafe, like somewhere on I-10 in between here and Kerrville, and they had like all of the songwriters in the 80s, like the Texas songwriters, like James McMurtry or Townes Van Zandt or Raul Keane. It's just like my friend found these photocopied calendars of from back in the day from the Leon Springs Cafe, and just like the talent lineup's insane. And I'm obsessed with this genre of music. I had never heard of that place.
Yeah. That's like that kind of history right there. Like you're talking about, like, I don't know if anyone else would be interested in it other than people kind of invested in that area. I feel like the kind of the same thing about here in Lubbock. Like when I first moved here, probably like that first year, I was like going out and trying to find just different stuff, like stuff that probably really didn't matter. Like I went and found like Buddy Holly's, like the house that he bought for his parents, you know, and it was just one of those, I couldn't find it right now if I needed to, but it was like, oh, I found the house and I just drove by. Didn't even like take a photo or nothing. It was just like, okay, yeah, that's real cool. And then, you know, went and found something else, and then went and found something else. And it's all these little things that are, You know, they do like the Hollywood tours in LA and stuff about this is where blah, blah had an overdose and died. And, you know, like that kind of stuff, like real Hollywood history. And like the stuff here, people wouldn't want to sign up for anything like that. But to me, it's like the same level of like just interesting. Not even, I don't even, I guess there's a historical value.
It's like a magical feeling.
Yeah. Like one of the things that so like Guy Clark, you know, he grew up in Monahans, which is about 30, 40 minutes north of Fort Stockton, where I grew up. And of course, I didn't know that the entire time growing up. But then, of course, then you become like a Guy Clark fan, and I guess like it was one of those things. I was a fan, but never really thought, oh, you know, some of these songs are about Monahans until like a couple of years ago. And then I went and like last time I went home, or not the last time, but the time that I went home around that time, I went and like found all those things in Monahans, and like no one in Monahans cares, you know. But then like I found like Jackson Prigg's grave, he is who Desperado's Waiting on a Train is about. And I found his grave in Monahans, and after that, people were asking me where to find it, and I was like, I don't want to just give out that info. Like it took me like an hour and a half like going through the Monahans cemetery to find this. Like you can find it though. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. It's this weird. I don't want to feel like I have to gatekeep that or something like that. But it's also like, you know, or we don't want to just give it, like if it's worth it to you, you can go find it. I don't know. Totally.
Yeah. And I can only imagine in Lubbock with all the crazy music history there. I mean,
yeah, I've found a lot more stuff lately because I know a little bit more about it now than when I initially moved here. But I don't know. It's strange because Lubbock is still such a young town. You know, I think like it's only like a barely over 100 years old as far as like being established. It's probably like 115 or something like that, which is pretty young in town ages, I guess.
Right.
So like there is a lot of stuff still around, but also at the same time there's like the Caldwell studio, like the original one, that's not there, and that's where like Lubbock on Everything and like all these classic Main Brothers records and all like that's where all that kind of stuff happened. But like that, none of that's around. But like it's one of those like you still just drive by an empty lot and be like, yeah, that's where that was, I guess.
Right on. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I drive around and try to find out where these old venues and honky-tonks were. Like in San Antonio, there were honky-tonks. Like up into the 90s, there were some pretty cool ones in town, and they just went away. And no one really like carried the torch after that. It was just like over.
This episode is sponsored by the Blue Light Live and Tom's Daiquiri here in Lubbock, Texas. Like pretty much every bar and venue in the country, Blue Light 2 has been closed for much of the year due to the pandemic. What they've done, though, is adapt and evolve. And so for the foreseeable future, Tom's has curbside service. Monday through Saturday from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m., you'll be able to get your Blue Light essentials. That's daiquiris, beer, hand sanitizer, and snacks. What you'll want to do is call up Tom's with your order at 1-806-749-5442, and then you'll run by 1806 Buddy Holly Avenue and pick up your order. It's pretty simple. I'll throw a link to the menu in the show notes. While you're at it, head over to bluelightlubbock.com, click the merch tab, and get yourself some much-needed Blue Light merch. They recently just restocked with koozies, t-shirts, and caps. My personal favorite is this new shirt that they have in cantaloupe with blue ink. I know you're asking, what color is cantaloupe? Well, it's literally like the color of like a freshly cut cantaloupe. As someone who typically wears various shades of denim, probably going to have to get this shirt for that much-needed pop of color in my closet, but I digress. So to recap, call Tom's Daiquiri Monday through Saturday for some curbside pickup and visit bluelightlubbock.com for some Blue Light merch. All right, back to the show. That feels like a lot more of a honky-tonk place than Lubbock. Like Lubbock, I don't know. I don't know if Lubbock has what I would call any. I'm sure there were some like classic honky-tonks here back in the day, but like when I think of honky-tonks, you think of like the Hill Country, that area, all the way back through up into Houston, you know. So
Yeah.
I don't know. What's been like what is like your favorite name of one of these places? Because like all these honky-tonks have great names.
Yeah, I mean the real famous one from what I gather was called the Farmer's Daughter.
That's pretty
It's
good.
a funny name.
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, you know,
but yeah.
the that Mike and the Moon Pies record that just came out of Gary Stewart songs, that first song is Bottom of the Pile. And apparently that was like Gary Stewart's go-to place, his honky-tonk dive bar, Bottom of the Pile. And I was like, man, that is like such
awesome.
a fucking good name. You know, you mentioned like kind of getting in with like a lot of these older guys in San Antonio. You mentioned Doug Somm and Augie Meyers a minute ago. You've and Augie was on the last record. How did you meet him, and like what has it been like having him as like a you know, someone you can call?
I mean, Augie's cool. He just loves to gig and play, and it's really wild whenever I reflect on hanging out with him or collaborating with him or just his career in general. Like he's been there like since the beginning, I guess, of post Beatlemania rock and roll. And like a few years ago, I threw an album release party for In the Shadows Again at this venue in town called the Paper Tiger, which is like our alternative 1,000 cap club. And it was this wild Cinco de Mayo, just like anything goes crazy party that we had like Flaco Jimenez play, and I put together a band that like backed him up, and we just played all his hits. And that was like during the afternoon. And then his brother Santiago Jimenez Jr., who isn't as famous but is really badass and plays more traditional stuff, they like collaborated after our set with Flaco. And then when that was done, I played my set, and then my friend Travis was having an album release and his band played a set, and then Augie came on, and then we all played. It was just this like, it was like an iconic day in San Antonio shit show rock club history, I'd like to think.
Yeah.
But that was like kind of the beginning of my collaborations with Augie. Like we played my song about San Antonio that night, and it usually goes over well down here. And Augie's he's cool, and he always has really good stories, and he's the guy with the Vox organ sound. And the studio that he likes to record at is, I can walk to it from where I live here, so we'll just overdub his parts there. And it's cool to hang with Augie. And we've done more gigs. Like we did gigs last year. Like I had him play the White Horse in Austin, which was really fun. Yeah, she's down for the gig. It's crazy.
Yeah. What I guess, like, obviously he's so iconic for Texas music, and you know, like you said, like that post Beatles mania kind of thing, and then going into the Tex-Mex, like him and Somm, like kind of just creating Tex-Mex in a lot of ways. How informed were you as a kid, though? Like, at what point did you realize, like, oh, this guy is like super important? Obviously, you didn't necessarily know him at the time, but
right, yeah, I didn't know much. I grew up like on the north side of town, like kind of in the suburbs, and I I remember when the Texas Tornadoes self-titled album came out, that like "Hey Baby, Que Paso" was like the citywide anthem. Like we have Fiesta down here is like our Mardi Gras. It's like 2 weeks long, and there's like just parties every night all over town. And I remember going to this Fiesta event when I was like 5, and I just remember hearing "Hey Baby, Que Paso." That was just like the talk of the town. Like everyone knew that song, it seemed. If I knew it as a 5-year-old on the north side, then like everyone knew it. But I didn't really explore the Tornadoes catalog or like the Doug Sommer, Augie, or the Sir Douglas Quintet or whatever until way later on when I started getting into Texas music deliberately.
Yeah. You know what's for me, like what's weird is I remember Texas Tornadoes, the same kind of thing, like as far as like hey baby, que paso, and then like who were you thinking of? Like that record, obviously, because of my grandparents. They were always playing it. But then later, like I guess discovering Sir Douglas Quintet like on its own, and then like at some point realizing like these were like the same people. And like
it's crazy, man. Like, I mean, like, She's About to Move was a big hit. So,
yeah, I
just
mean,
thinking about like how they went from that to the Tornadoes is pretty mind blowing to me because there was a lot of time in between and highs and lows.
Yeah,
and the fact that like the middle aged super group of Tex-Mex South Texas guys could find that much success at that point in their career is really cool to me.
Yeah, I mean, like it's so, and I guess also with Doug Somm, just it feels like there's just a wealth of records there that I don't know, maybe didn't get their due. Like I know, like the first song that I heard independently of Somm's was that song Texas Tornado, and like just like never really. Like again, like it just never really registered that like this was like the same guy as like you listening to Texas Tornadoes as a kid, or like even like just if you want to go the other route with Freddie Fender, like just his entire, I guess that was a little bit easier to like connect, but still like, there's like so much, just a wealth of music there that you just, it feels like once you start digging, you realize there's like so much more. And I don't know, it's easy to like pick out the hits, but then also there's just so many, I guess, different names. I guess like that's probably the part of it is like there's just so many different names too of all these different bands as far as like what the releases were getting released as.
Yeah. And I think, Doug Somm apparently was just all over the place all the time. And, but like, I guess what's really cool to me about the Tornadoes and like how that all came together, and it's like some of those the biggest songs on that record, the most memorable songs, the two you mentioned, were written by Augie. It's like he just like came out of the gate swinging on that one. He's just a clever dude, and those songs are just timeless and like they're like quintessential Tex-Mex.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Also, like something I suggest everyone to do, because that first Texas Tornado record, there's an English version and a Spanish version.
Yeah.
Go and check out like the Spanish version of all those songs too. Like that's but like there's also when you go back and like start listening to that record, the deep cuts. I mean, it's not necessarily even a deep cut, but like Butch Hancock.
You know what? I'm sorry, Augie did not write "Who Are You Thinking Of." I'm looking at it right now. It was Jim Glazer.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now too, actually. But he did.
He made it his own.
But like,
for sure,
there's like a Butch Hancock cut on that record too.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I don't know. I guess it won a Grammy. That's like I don't know. That's when people talk about like super groups here in Texas, or like super groups in general. The one that they always go to is Highwaymen, which is, granted, that's really great. But I'm always like, man, Texas Tornadoes, that's maybe like your number one seed as far as like if we're putting them in a tournament or something. Real strong.
Strong.
Yeah. Now, obviously, I wanted to go back to, you talked about Born in San Antonio. That was picked up by Billions. That's when I guess we first kind of met, was around that point. And what's the story behind that? Like, did Brian Koppelman reach out to you personally? Have you met him?
Yeah, he did. It seems like forever ago at this point, but yeah, he like heard it on Spotify, Discover Weekly or something, and really liked it. So I've had some other syncs on TV since then, and they like were not the same. Like truly background music, like you could never tell what song it was. It's just like background noise. But the way that Koppelman used my song in that show was like he was truly trying to help me. And that show, obviously, like I haven't really watched it, but I think at the time, especially, they're priding themselves on the soundtrack, and I'm sure it's still the same. But yeah, they kicked off the season 3, episode 1 with my song, and I self-released In the Shadows around that episode coming out, and it made a huge difference. It was definitely like the way he used the song, people latched onto it and could easily look it up. And all sorts of people from San Antonio, like all over the world, like reached out to me and bought the record and all this stuff. So that was cool.
Yeah. Yeah. For people who are maybe like unfamiliar with Brian Koppelman, he's probably like most known for like being the writer of Rounders, and obviously at Billions now. But like that's where like I guess my connection is. I would say also, this is like a side point on all of this. The Ringer has like this podcast called The Rewatchables, and Koppelman was on an episode where they redid, or where they talked about Godfather 2. And it's one of the best podcasts I've ever listened to in my entire life. And the way they break down Godfather 2 is just incredibly perfect. And they talk about like that movie with nuance and everything that you would want it to be. So if you're, this is, I guess, just a plug for going and listening to that episode of Rewatchables. So anyways, okay.
Yeah. Koppelman's cool, man. He's a cool guy. And I don't, that was my only brush with like prime time or Hollywood or whatever. And at the moment, and yeah, he means business. When he likes it, he likes it. And you look at the other artists that he has on that soundtrack and tries to help out. Like he cares about roots music, and
yeah,
he's got good taste.
If you follow him on Twitter, he's always interacting with guys like Jason Isbell, and I think like he's had a few conversations with BJ Barham of American Aquarium and stuff. So like he is very much into like roots music and singer-songwriters and the broad genre of Americana. What I was going to say about that song, though, I was going to ask you about, like, obviously, like, that Born in San Antonio, like, you go through that laundry list of, like, you know, the checklist of San Antonio things. I guess, like, was that just, like, part of what you envisioned that song to be? Was, like, oh, I want this song to be a quote-unquote theme of San Antonio. Like, this is, like, if I was putting together my list of San Antonio things, this would be the checklist.
Yeah, I mean, it's just supposed to be like a party song, but yeah, I think that the checklist, like I have a never-ending list. Like I try to do ad libs live, and you know, just obscure stuff, kind of like the unknown music scene stuff, or just like weird histories about the city.
Yeah. You mentioned Sean Elliott.
Yeah, laundry list, whatever. Like it's just like it's supposed to be a ramble.
Yeah.
Essentially.
No, I
But,
dig it, even though I'm not a Spurs fan. So,
oh yeah.
but this is something that a lot of people probably know already. But you grew up with John Bauman.
Uh-huh.
Did you always know like Bauman was going to be kind of like a writer, or like what was he like growing up?
Yeah, I mean, we always like played music and listening to the same. I've known that guy forever, and music was definitely one of our, if not our main common ground. And we used to like write fun songs just for the hell of it, or just like trade artists and stuff. And but I guess when I was talking about living in Austin, like that was when I started writing songs, and that was basically just John and I trading songs off, essentially.
Yeah.
And just like trying to figure out how to write songs like our favorite artists, and playing like weird Craigslist gigs. And yeah, it's been cool. It's cool that we're both still doing it and have found our own paths and successes along the way.
Yeah. Have you guys, obviously you mentioned at the very beginning, like trading songs and stuff like that, trading bands. Have you all tried writing together? Like recently?
We'll throw like song ideas past each other, or like lyrical tweaks or stuff like that. We haven't like sat down and tried to like write a song together in a long time, but definitely like one of the only people that I send lyric ideas to if I think that, just to bounce ideas off of.
Yeah. You guys both feel very much like, I know Bauman's talked about it, like kind of like wanting, like just being a solo writer more so than always needing a co-writer or anything like that. Feels like you guys are both kind of, at least that initial core idea, that first draft or whatever the case is, kind of just like working alone, working it all out, and then showing it off, sharing it from that point.
I think that that's totally right. And part of it's just being stubborn.
What's weird to me is like, not weird because I do it all the time, but I would probably have like a really hard time being a co-writer because like that stubbornness, but also like you're giving up so much of the trust, I guess, the responsibility. I don't know. Do you feel that?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to lyrics, for me, I'm pretty like tied. I'm pretty attached to the lyrics that I write. Not that I don't change them up like all the time, but like, I guess we were talking earlier about like where the song lately came from or whatever. I mean, it's hard for me to write songs from other people's perspectives. So that makes it hard to co-write. But on the other hand, I love collaborating with like different bands and different producers and stuff like that. And it really helps when the producer, like, I guess the closest I've gotten to aggressive songwriting is when like someone like a producer that's like looking at the whole song, not just lyrically or musically, kind of helps me like change some lyrics here and there to fit the song for a better final recording or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, like these three records here, like the trilogy, you've been working with different, like that second one you worked with Adam Odor as producer. And like this one that you have coming out, I'm not even sure. You've been working with.
Yeah. I mean, I've definitely in all this downtime, I have an album that is not going to be part of the trilogy that is basically just my solo album. And we recorded it in January and December and January of this year. My friend Jerry DeCicca produced it. He's got this long history of working with labels like Drag City and artists like Bill Callahan and just like that. He's from like Ohio.
Right.
But he lives around here. And yeah, he definitely took the old school producer approach. And I got my Austin band with like Brian, like it's basically that band Maya and Broussard.
Oh yeah.
Basically it's a pretty live album. It sounds really live, and it's kind of like anthemic country rock with some Tex-Mex, kind of like Warren Zevon meets Doug Somm or something. But I don't know when that album's coming out, but that whole process was definitely like what I was talking about, like changing lyrical phrasing along with music and all that, just like the whole old school production treatment, and then just show up at the studio and cut the tracks live. Like it's all pre-production.
Right. Well, I was going to ask, like, how did you, not necessarily like, I'm sure there's a process or something with it, but like, how have you decided like, oh, these songs I want to, you like the last record you worked with Adam, how did you decide like, oh, that's where I want to take these songs, this idea? And then like, at the same time, with this next record, oh, I want to take these songs to Jerry. Like, I guess.
Yeah. It usually just starts with the idea that I need to make a record and figuring out how I'm going to make it. And then figuring out what batch of songs to pull from. I usually don't write. Most of the time I don't write the songs aimlessly. I mean, for lack of a better word, I usually am writing a song for like a specific project.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll usually end up with a batch of songs, and then I'll go through my pool of songs I haven't used before and add those to the batch. And then, like with Adam Odor, I probably gave him 15 songs or something, and I let him choose, and that's what happened.
Some of those songs on that record, you have like Jamie Lynn Wilson on and Carson McCone. And obviously there's that song with Augie. Like, I guess how did some of those songs, did you have in mind like these as being duets or anything like that? Or was that
I love duets for whatever reason. So I definitely heard duets on some of that stuff. And it was cool to work with. It's always like a strategic nightmare when you're working on a budget and in a studio, wherever, to like wrangle up everyone's schedules and get that kind of thing together in person. But I like having guests on my albums, and Jamie Lynn's awesome on that song, and she's just awesome in general.
Right.
And Carson's great too.
Yeah.
Of course.
That song with Jamie, like it just feels like it was kind of like written for her in mind, even in a way. Obviously, I don't even know if that's the case, but like
totally,
she just felt like she just like fit that song perfectly for that. I guess that voice, and that not necessarily voice isn't just her voice, but I mean like her whatever character she is in that song,
Absolutely. I mean, she it definitely fits her personality.
One of the other things you mentioned was kind of like how, you do have like this song you want, like you write intentionally for certain projects, but there are other songs that like they fit with the different bands. Like you have like the Three Timers where you put out that record with them and there's 2 or 3 songs from All Right All Night on there as well. Was that just one of those things like these songs, I hear them both ways? Or was it, I guess, like what was like the process of deciding like those songs fit both projects?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those songs that I told you I gave to Odor were songs that I played with the Three Timers. Like the Three Timers are basically my quote unquote honky-tonk band that I formed almost almost only to play the White Horse when I started getting gigs up there, which makes it even better that they were like the first band that I took to Europe with me. Because we're just like a beer drinking, rough around the edges country rock band. But yeah, I mean, the Three Timers, we wanted to make that record ourselves, and we just did it here in town. The guitarist is good at doing records like that, and that was that. But I wanted to make a record with Adam and see what would happen with it.
Yeah.
So I was kind of doing both of them at the same time.
Yeah. What's interesting too is like I've seen you. There's a couple of quotes, I guess, about how you kind of thought of this record as like your, not necessarily like quote unquote Texas country, but like being informed by guys like Robert Earl Keen and Steve Earle, and it feels like a lot of those songs, even it's I don't know if people really understand how these songs they do very much fit in this like very spacey spaceship kind of that NASA country thing, but also like they are very much like if Steve Earle or Robert Earl Keen or Rodney Crowell or whoever from like your prototypical prototype like Texas singer-songwriter, like they fit in both worlds so perfectly. I don't know if I'm doing like enough justice on like how you're able to weave those two together, those two worlds.
Yeah, I mean, like the Adam Odor album, definitely I knew that he was working with the Moon Pies, and I knew I'd known his name for a long time, and he obviously has like a huge history in the recording world, especially with Texas music.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, Robert Earl Keen's one of my favorite artists, and I really liked that Steak Night at the Prairie Rose album. It sounded really good. Obviously, the Moon Pies are just like a ferocious band, but sonically, it sounded really great, and Odor's a really cool guy. And yeah, I kind of wanted to make the Texas album, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Because I felt like I was kind of like, I don't know, I still don't know where I'm going exactly, but I wanted to make an album with someone that had worked with like Jason Boland and all these people, essentially.
Right. Well, I don't know. Like a lot of those songs.
I know he's not a Texas guy, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, of course. Like, yeah, if you're listening right here, go look up like Adam's catalog, or I don't know, his musical album history. He's worked with everyone from, like you mentioned, the Moon Pies. He's got a Grammy for working with the Dixie Chicks as an engineer. He was basically Lloyd Baines' guy forever. And so like that's why he's like really he's got like his fingerprints all over the Texas music world, especially since I don't know, like 95 or something. So I don't know. I think like on that record you do it really well, blending those two worlds, because again, like the Alone With You, like if someone covered that song in the scene right now, it would be like you can hear that version. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, I'm working on all sorts of stuff. I've definitely like been writing a lot, almost to the point where I kind of need to stop writing. Maybe it's time to start co-writing. Because I feel like I'm just writing about the same thing over and over. But
I
got an album in the can, and I'm doing the NASA Country album. We're going to record that later this year, the third album in the trilogy. And it's going to be super far out. And the only gig I have planned thing I have planned right now is my return to Europe in summer of 2021. So who knows what the hell is going to happen before then, but that's all I'm planning on doing gig wise at the moment.
Yeah. Well, okay. You're talking about the writing, and you feel like you're writing the same thing over. Is Is that like the Groundhog's Day effect of living in 2020, since there are no gigs and there's no real movement, there's no real travel, you just kind of feel like you're doing the same thing daily?
Yeah, I mean, I love writing and I love having projects to work on and stuff, but now it's I also I love playing live gigs and throwing my own shows. I mean, I own my own bar here in town, and I book all the bands. The Lonesome Rose is like our alternative honky-tonk, and everything in my world is like based around music. So the fact that events have been canceled or just can't happen is feeling this huge void has appeared. And I guess what I'm getting at is that when I'm writing, I usually see like some sort of stage in mind or like some sort of setting.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it's pretty much always a show. And yeah, it's weird not knowing when like I could take the songs to the stage.
Right. Well, also I guess like what kind of added stress has it been since you do own a bar and like we're not open? Has that like how much has that affected the way you're thinking?
We're in this we're doing fine. I mean all the other venues and bars are closed but as well. But I mean we're just closed. It's been pretty stressful in its own way, but at this point, what isn't?
Yeah.
You know?
One last question on that though too is you had this really great mural put on the side the other day. Matt Tumlinson, right?
Tumlinson, yeah.
Yeah. What I guess like obviously it's all like San Antonio tied and everything like that, but like what made you decide, hey, I need this San Antonio mural on the side?
Well, Tumlinson's a buddy and he does great Texas themed stuff, and he had mentioned doing a mural, and we have this big wall like right in the great part of town. So he basically, he made that. I think he basically based it off of that long rambling verse in Born in San Antonio.
Yeah. I need to get him on the podcast.
We had some killer shows. Like, man, we had there's this beer conference. We've had some cool shows at the Rose, and that's like a whole nother conversation. But I was thinking about this yesterday. Like there was a beer conference in town that wanted to throw a cool gig at my venue on April 20th on 4/20 for some reason. It was a Monday. And we ended up booking Sarah Shook and the Disarmers. It was going to be like $5 to the public or something. And James Hand was going to open for. Like it was like a crazy music night. And I was just thinking about that yesterday. Like, man, I can't believe this shit. Like that can never happen, you know?
Right. Yeah. The it's I said I had like one last question just a minute ago, but I actually have one other question here. Now this is like a goof question, really. But obviously you've done a lot of these promos where you call someone on the phone and then like Charlie Crockett will answer the phone and it's these old dial phones, those old rotary kind of style. Is that what you're talking on right now?
No, definitely not.
When did you decide? Like, how did you like decide? Hey, this is what I need to. These are great promos.
The phone commercials.
Yeah.
I don't know. For some reason, my mind thought that doing a phone commercial would be good one day. I think that for that show I was talking about with Flaco and Santiago and Augie Meyers 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That was like the first phone commercial, and like Augie and Santiago like on the phone was just like hilarious. But yeah, got to keep it alive. It's just my goofy caveman style phone call commercials. But I mean, like Bill Callahan did one. Like people think they're funny.
Yeah.
In their own way. So
I'm assuming at the very beginning you had to like, no, trust me, this is going to work. And now it's like, hey, we do this thing where we do phone commercials.
Yeah. It's like Kinky Friedman.
Yeah.
Was a good one.
Well, now you know what the thing is like Charlie Crockett, he's putting out a record at the end of the month. And like that first song, he's got like a old school phone in it, like in the music video or something like that. And I was like,
yeah,
he did a commercial. I can't help but think that like that's where the seed of that idea came from. The Garrett T
that's funny.
Commercials. Okay, y'all, that does it for this week. Thanks for listening. Go check out Garrett T Caps. Stop by the New Slang merch store. An episode sponsors the Blue Light Live and Tom's Daiquiri here in Lubbock, Texas. I'll see y'all next Monday for another interview.